Hey everybody. Apologize for being late tonight. Just wrapped up with a benefit auction at the Pontiac golf course. We were raising money for Illinois Ag in the Classroom, and tonight's going to be really short because I'm sitting in the parking lot ready to head into our County Farm Bureau board meeting. But one thing that was on my mind as I was driving back, kind of thinking about what I wanted to talk about tonight, and of course, a lot of road time, and as I'm thinking about this whole social connectivity and our ability to listen and learn from others in a really, really quick way, and how we consume information and the technology that we have available to us. And what tends to happen is we utilize all of this stuff, and I call it stuff because sometimes it's not overly productive, but we take in all of this information, but what do we do with it? And I think it's critical for us to think a bit further about how we're using the tools available to us. There's tons of them available. There's people, there's resources on the internet. There's, of course, social media. There's Periscope. But think about how do we use those and what are we observing that goes on around us? Now, for those of you who know me really well, I don't like to sit with my back to the door. Now, I think I inherited that from my father, who never does that either, but he's a Vietnam veteran, and I thank him for his service. But that's something that I think I inherited from him, and I guess, it's observing what goes on around you, and that's just one thing. And so that's kind of a weird thing, but think about, as we get involved in different operations or our own, or the commodity markets, you think about that. Do we really observe and think about all of the things that go into play in the commodity markets? Do we understand the environment that we're dealing with weather? Do we think about the businesses around us and what closes up and what keeps going? Start to observe, and I think it's timely as I'm driving down the one of the main county roads. I see these calves, following their moms around the pasture, and we notice that in the spring. It's really easy to notice, right? Because there's spring calves on the ground everywhere. We notice that things have changed. If you're not noticing that, you're probably on your phone texting, of which we all shouldn't do anyway. But, so that new life is something that we observe. But do we observe how many pastures are still out there, meaning that there's more cropland in place? Do we observe how many cornfields we see over bean fields? Once you observe that, you've got to take it a step further to really make it count. And I think that's one thing that we don't really do enough of. We take too much of what we see at face value, and we let it go at that. But I would challenge you to think about, what are you seeing around you? What are people doing around you? How are people responding and acting? What are businesses doing around you? Are prices going up? Are they going down? Because I'll tell you what, if you've gone to the grocery store or you've gone to the drugstore and you've looked and people tell you inflation hasn't happened, look at the size of a bag of chips. It's not what it used to be, but the price went up $1 and the weight and the volume went down. So inflation happens, whether or not you want to believe that or not. So you've got to think for yourself, because today the media and everybody else, they're going to tell you what they think they want you to hear. But we have to make sure that we're observing what's going on around us and think for ourselves and use our critical thinking skills and our problem solving skills to make sure that we're doing the best job with the information we have. So, as I think about, and I give Bill a lot of credit, if you listen to Breakfast with Bill, and he talks about barges going down the rivers in the central U.S., and you think about what that really means down the road or down the river, so to speak, that exports are up. You've got to critically think about what happens next. What is the trigger? Because everything happens for a reason. So if you see fewer semis on the road, that means that freight isn't moving. If you see more rail cars, that means that probably rail freight's a little bit cheaper. It's a more efficient way to move, but product is moving. And if you see the price of gas go down or up, wonder what triggered that. Don't just take it at face value that the price of gas went down or up. Try and understand what caused it, because it might affect you of what else is going on around you. So just look out the window. Yes, 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 absolutely. So look out the window. We all need to use these phones somewhat sparingly, and take the information and challenge our thought, but also notice what's going on around us and see what's happening. So observe a little bit more, use your critical thinking skills, and let's all think about how do we improve ourselves, and what are those little small indicators that we're seeing that might help give us the edge when other people aren't watching. So with that, I got to hop into my meeting. Thanks for watching Supper with Sean. Just a shout out, next Monday night, I'm actually going to be at a meeting with Bill Graff. He's coming to speak to our young leader group. And so we're going to do a quick breakfast with Bill and supper with Sean before we kick that off. So watch Monday night, or be there in person if you're in Woodford County, and we'll do that really quick. So have a great night. Thanks for watching.